All right, time for the main event. We're 3 days away from an important game in Cleveland. Just like every other game is important in an NFL season, you only get to play 16 of them. But this is an interesting game. This is an interesting matchup. We're going to learn something for sure. And the number one guy that I'm really looking at for this game is Peter Clay Carroll. And I'll get to why in a second. But, you know, this game, the warning signs, and I think other Seahawks fans are going to get me. And if you don't, maybe you're fooling yourself a little bit, but the warning signs have to be going off in the back of your head. Just we have a Seahawks team that is coming off a huge, emotional, important, draining, tough game, tough win at home against the division rival that you have not beaten in 2 years. Came down to a last second kick. Was, like I said, emotional game because of the Paul Allen stuff before kickoff, and that was something that permeated that whole game, I think. So there was a lot going on there. You come out with a 1 point win because of a last second missed field goal, and then you have a Cleveland Browns team that has to be at the bottom of the barrel, guys. That has to be rock bottom. National TV Monday Night Football against the 49ers, who look like they're going to be good this year, but you just get punched in the face and never get up. That has to be the wake-up call that team, at least some of the players on that team, need to know, hey, we had hype this year. We were supposed to make the playoffs. We were supposed to make a run at things. We were supposed to do this and that, and now we're getting destroyed on national television in front of tens of millions of people. What the hell? And those two things are crashing into each other, and you got to wonder, how worried are we supposed to be? Because you can find all kinds of numbers, you can find all kinds of stats, you can find all kinds of indicators that tell us we should win this game easily, but if your gut is not doing things right now, worried about what a rock bottom Cleveland team might be able to come out there and do on Sunday, then I don't know. Maybe you haven't been watching football that long. Maybe you got some confidence that I just don't totally have. But there's some stuff to be concerned about. So Browns have some good players. Not as many as we thought, maybe, based off the first 5 games. Defensively, they got a great defensive end in Myles Garrett, and I'm really looking for this team to be smart enough to double team him on every play, every pass play, or do something to scheme him out of the game to where he's not killing Wilson 10 times today, 10 times that day. And I'm just thinking about that Rams game. When we came out, we were single teaming Aaron Donald with Fluker, with Upati, with Fetty. There were plays where we were trying to block those guys one-on-one, and it didn't work. And of course it didn't work. And who the hell thought that was going to freaking work? And it wasn't until late in the first quarter when we started actually trying to scheme to take Aaron Donald out of the game, which was great. But then it makes me wonder, does this coach watch game film? Do they know that Aaron Donald is a 2-time defensive player of the year? Do they know he is the best defensive tackle of this generation? Do they know that he's a future Hall of Famer? So if we come out on Sunday and I see this team trying to get away with single teaming Myles Garrett with Jermaine Ifedi, then I'm going to have a big problem with that because we know how good that guy is. He's been destructive this year already. He's not very smart. He is picking up a lot of those roughing the passer penalties, but we need to do whatever we need to do to get him off the quarterback and out of the game. Okay, that sounded a little wrong, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They got good defensive tackles, including our old friend Sheldon Richardson. They have good cornerbacks, although they are both coming back from hamstring injuries. They did not play, I think, the last couple games, and this is their first game back. I think they're going to play, but I don't know if they're going to be at 100% because hamstrings are, they're tough, right? You injure your hamstring, you don't know if you're going to be back possibly that whole season 100%. You might play, but you might not completely be yourself. And as a cornerback, if you are even 1% not right, that can make or break your ability to make the play or not. It's like a sprinter. You finish the race in first, but then you get a hangnail, and suddenly you're finishing sixth because the margins are so small. So they got good players there, though. Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams. Greedy is a rookie, though, but other than that, I don't see much with their linebackers. I don't see much with their safeties. So I know that Pete Carroll watched that game on Monday Night Football against the 49ers, and he saw the 49ers running all over them. And look, the 49ers offense does not have as much talent as our offense does, I don't think. Maybe if you add everything together, it's similar, but we don't have those Shanahan schemes. We do not have those little tricks that he does, those cool little, even, the generic running plays are designed in a way to create angles that we just don't have any of that. We are just a team that wants to run it down the gut, hit you in the mouth, and just grind down the field 6 yards at a time because our guys are tougher than your guys. So it's a little different, but I am sure that Pete Carroll saw that and thought, okay, we got to come out and run the ball a bunch against this Cleveland defense. And, you guys know how I feel about that, but it does kind of make sense. Those linebackers are weak. Those safeties are weak. They have good players on that defensive line, but I don't know about their depth. So it does make some sense why you might want to pound away at them until they show you that they can stop it. And that brings me to Will Dissly as well. If those linebackers and safeties are as lackluster players as I seem to think they are, and in my opinion, they've shown themselves to be so far this season, then maybe we attack them. Maybe we go after those guys with Dissly. So I'm looking to a big game from Will Dissly, and I'm looking to hopefully have Carson and Penny. And Carson did show up on the injury report this afternoon, so hopefully that's nothing serious. Doesn't seem like it is, but I am looking forward to hopefully just being able to control the game with passes to Dissly and runs with Carson. And, if we can attack those cornerbacks because they're just back from injury, then great, so be it. But who knows if it's going to be there. Um, I'm sure Dwayne Brown is going to play. Fluker, I don't know, but Fluker might not be a huge loss with the way Jamarco played on Thursday versus how Fluker has played so far this season. Posick looks like he's going to play. He's obviously off the bench, but that's nice. So that's the offense. Defense. Look, Baker has not played well this season. Obviously, we all know it. He's turning the ball over. He's making bad decisions. He's inaccurate. He's throwing the ball in the double coverage. I watched most of that game against the 49ers, and he looks like an inexperienced rookie out there right now, and he's not anymore. And in this NFL, you don't have that excuse. You cannot have that excuse. We see rookie quarterbacks come out and play good all the time. And Baker was one of those. Last year he played great, but this year it looks like he's regressed hard. But they have some talent on that offense. Odell Beckham, obviously. I don't like Jarvis Landry, but he's not terrible. Nick Chubb is going to be a problem. Nick Chubb is going to be a potential huge problem. He's a guy who can break away and you're just not going to catch him. But the offensive line, it can go either way. It depends on who you ask. Some people say the offensive line is terrible. Other people say the offensive line is fine, and Baker's just making them look way worse than they are, which I can believe because I absolutely believe, excuse me, that a quarterback has a ton of influence on how good an offensive line looks. And I see it all the time with Wilson. I think that the number of sacks that he takes depends a lot on how much he is holding onto the ball too long and how much he's making people miss in the backfield. A lot of it is on the quarterback. So if Baker is really making his offensive line look worse than they are and hanging them out to dry, that would not surprise me. So I don't really know what to expect from the pass rush this week. I know we're going to get some LJ Collier, which is nice. At least he's going to get a chance to contribute. Apparently, Marquez Blair is either going to play or is on the verge of being able to play. So sounds like he's finally up to speed. So that is nice as well. And basically, we can't take it lightly, but this Cleveland offense has looked out of sorts this whole season. Even when they put up 40 on the Ravens, it did not look completely right. They needed a 90-yard touchdown in almost garbage time against the Jets to look respectable in that game. It is an offense that has really struggled, but I'm telling you guys, this Cleveland team, if last week was not a huge wake-up call to those guys when they got embarrassed by 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football, then I don't know what will be. And if they do not at least come to play on Sunday, then that team might just go into a death spiral. And I don't know which way it's going to go. You don't know how a team is going to react to a loss like that. So the number one thing I'm really looking at this week is, like I said at the start of the video, Pete Carroll. This is why you have Pete Carroll, guys. Because if the Browns have one thing that is really holding them back this year, it is a head coach that is way over his head. Freddie Kitchens should be at least, bare minimum, 2 years away from consideration as a head coach. That dude was a running back coach less than a year ago, and because Baker liked him, he gets pushed into the head coaching job, which is a terrible reason to hire a head coach, guys. And it's not surprising that this year they don't look like they're in sync. They don't look like they're ready. They commit a lot of stupid penalties. They're undisciplined. They play, weird football. It's none of it is a surprise to me, really, because of who they decided to hitch their wagon to. And as a football fan, it's kind of unbelievable. The only head coach I've seen recently who was more in over his head than Freddie Kitchens is Jim Tomsula. And the 49ers brought in Jim Tomsula because they didn't care about that season and were just punting on the season to get their real guy. And they didn't care if they had a bad season. They just wanted to get rid of Harbaugh. The Browns were supposed to be something this year, and they decided to hitch their wagon to some dude who was a running back coach just about under 11 months ago. It's unbelievable to me, and I have to believe there was some way they could have brought in a Mike McCarthy, and it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been fun. It might have even been a little boring, but he'd have that team playing better. So anyway, that's my little 1 minute rant on Freddie Kitchens. Still can't believe that was actually allowed to happen, but we need to have a significant coaching advantage in some way, shape, or form on Sunday, or else what is the point of having a guy like Pete Carroll? Because I've talked about the things that Pete Carroll takes away. There are things that Pete Carroll is taking off the table right now. But I know he puts stuff on the table as well. One of those things has to be, I can outcoach a guy like Freddie Kitchens in a game. And I've had 10 days to prepare. We've had the long week. The Cleveland Browns are on the short week. They played on Monday night. Now they're flipping around and playing on Sunday morning. Look, this is really a game where I need Pete Carroll to give me some kind of advantage out there on the field. Whatever it may be, offense, defense, special teams, I need something from that guy. Or why have a Pete Carroll, a guy who has been in the league as a head coach for over 15 years, I think, total, if you combine everything together. He's been with this team for 10 years now, coming up on his 10th year, 10th full season. What is the point of all that experience if you cannot outcoach a doofus like Fred Kitchens? So whatever happens out there, Russell Wilson might be due a bad game because he's played so good so far this season. It might be coming, and it might be this Sunday where he just is off a little bit. And I want to see this team, because I know at some point it's going to happen. I want to see this team show me that they can win when Wilson doesn't have a very good game. And right now, I'm not seeing a team that looks like they can do that with any consistency or any reliability. And if this Sunday is that game, I'm not saying it will be, but if it is, do something on defense to make Baker Mayfield turn the ball over 4 times. Give me a pass rush against a quarterback who has been getting pressured a lot so far this year. Do something to give me an advantage to still win the game. Or else, what's the point? All right, that's the Browns game. I'm excited. I am interested to see how this team reacts. I'm interested to see how the Browns react to what happened last week. So, see you guys after the game. Go Hawks, and we have a chance to go 5-1. That's all you can ask for.